Hi, everyone. This is our Dust Bowl collaborative unit plan. I'm Adam Newton, and I'll just be acting as the English teacher in this.
And I'm Hannah LaTomme, acting as the social studies teacher.
And let's just get right into it.
All right, perfect. So the nonfiction book that was recommended to me by Dr. Kincaid was The Children of the Dust Bowl, the true story of the school at Reed Patch Camp. So this is an account of people who moved from Oklahoma to California, nicknamed the Okies, and it discusses the camp and school where the children were taught. So on the left is a map just of the panhandle where Dust, Dust Bowl occurred, with some worst hit areas in the darker orange and a general area in the lighter orange. The picture to its right is just someone leaving with a storm approaching. So perfect timing there, in my opinion. And the bottom is a picture of a farm with their crops destroyed.
All right, and my book I chose, which was also recommended to me, was Out of the Dust by Karen Hess. It's a free verse novel, kind of like Brown Girl Dreaming that some of us had to read earlier. And it follows Billy Joe, who's a young girl living through the Dust Bowl. It's set up in 8 sections, each of which are following a season from winter 1934 to autumn of 1935. And Billy Joe just faces the challenges of living on a farm in the panhandle when dust storms were raging and the future was uncertain. But in addition to the Dust Bowl and her struggles, you also get to see some of her dreams. She wants to be a piano player, for example, and just some of her general family sort of conflicts that make Billy Joe kind of a relatable and realistic character for students. And so I chose it because I think that the poetry is something that students who maybe are less into history and more into English can latch on to this historical time period that has a lot going on and kind of shows some of the best and worst of humanity. And also it because it's a younger person, I like how you can see that through their lens.
All right, so Adam and I have discussed that why we teach the Dust Bowl is because it shows students a period that is normally overshadowed um, in history by events of World War II and Holocaust, Cold War, and things like that. And as we teach it, we as teachers and hopefully our students are able to gain a greater understanding of what these people went through.
Yeah, and by pairing these texts together specifically, we are able to look at children, which is a kind of a perspective in history you don't get to hear about a lot. You know, you usually hear about all the people going to war or, what the adults are doing. But by looking at it through a kid's perspective, it can be more relatable to students. And it can also just show things that you wouldn't normally think about and kind of put things in a different framework so they can think about it in a new light.
Perfect. So the assignment that will be for the social studies classes would be to find an image from the Dust Bowl and interpret how you feel and what you think the people are going through, and do some additional research, ask the essential questions: who, what, when, how, and why the picture was taken. Then write 1 to 2 paragraphs reflecting on what you've learned and you've gained through doing more research on the picture that was chosen.
And in the English classes, I decided to do a little bit of a poetry assignment because Karen Hess kind of did this herself in novel form, but I'd like to give it a little bit shorter to the students. So I would just ask them to create a character or to imagine themselves in the Dust Bowl and to write a poem just about a page because that's about how long each of the poems are in the novel, and just explaining how they might feel during this time. They could describe a dust storm blowing through town, or they could latch on to really any other aspect of life that they found interesting. So, in conclusion, something that Hannah and I talked about as we did this was how students, by having two classes where they're talking about similar things and purposefully pairing texts, that they can gain new perspectives and, kind of get the idea that in each of their classes, they don't have to just, only do English things in English and only do social studies things in social studies, but by blending them together, they can make their own connections and discover things themselves. And that's about it from us. So thank you for watching.